Okay, first of all, it gives me an absolute great privilege and honour to welcome you to our partnership evenings. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to all parents, carers, community members for their tremendous support over what has been a really difficult 6 months. COVID and lockdown has, hit us all extremely hard in terms of the continuity for our students, in terms of, continuity of teaching and learning, and it has absolutely been a wonderful experience coming back to school and opening the doors again to see our pupils. We really, really have missed them. And, a massive thank you to yourselves as parents for all your continued support. We've kept in touch sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly, just to make sure that, in terms of education and continuity of learning, and in terms of pastoral care guidance and support, your son or daughter has been looked after over these past few months. But we're back now, it's September, and we're looking forward, although under very different and difficult circumstances, to continuing that quality of education for all our students in Year 7 right through to Year 11, and we promise to give them the very, very best of opportunities. So I hope today, as we go through the different slides and the different presentations, that there is a wealth of knowledge that you'll take from today's partnership evening. And if there are any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate but to get back in touch with the year leaders for each specific year group, and we will only be too happy to help. Thank you again for your continued support, and I hope you find the information useful.
Hello, a huge welcome to all Year 7 parents and carers. My name's Miss Jacob, I'm Assistant Head and SLT Lead for Year 7. To my right is Mr Kirkman, who's the Head of Year. We'd like to welcome you here tonight and just say a huge thank you. So far your children have all been absolutely outstanding. We're going to talk to you just for a few minutes about our expectations and answer some of the questions that you've emailed in.
Okay, so just to start, Year 7, they will face some obstacles this year. However, we've already spent time in the first 2 weeks looking at resilience and how the pupils can overcome these obstacles. So our expectations at Royston Crompton Academy are that pupils attend every single day, pupils are on time, they arrive in the correct uniform, always have their equipment ready to start the lessons, and respect all pupils and staff in the building.
Okay, so you've got to be in it to win it. We expect all our students to aim for 100% attendance. You can see from this diagram, if they're in between 97 and 100%, there is no risk at all of them underachieving. However, by looking at the triangle, if they are off, then they miss out on their learning and they have severe risks of underachievement. So if you are off for 90 to 91% of the time, you are going to underachieve. So even if they have just feeling a little bit under the weather, please send them in, because if they're not in, they cannot learn. Thank you so much for your help with this. If your child is off, then they will be receiving a phone call that morning from Mr Collins, who will be asking how they are and when they're going to be returning back to school, because we want them in, we want them here, we want them learning to fulfil their potential.
And just to help with that process with attendance and Mr Collins making the calls, if as a parent you can ring the school and let us know beforehand, that would be fantastic as well. So now we're going to move on to just some information about the different departments.
And I'll talk to you about the maths department. So the head of maths is Mrs Downing and the SLT link is Miss Bale. The assistant head of maths is Mr Loker and Mr Mulgrew, and Miss Preston is the whole school numeracy coordinator. So if you have any issues or any concerns with maths, please email them. So maths has spoken to all the students about the Maths 8, the equipment that they expect them to have to be outstanding mathematicians, and these are to be with them every single day, every single lesson. So in maths to succeed, you need a black pen, a pencil, a 30 and a 15 centimetre ruler, an eraser, a green pen for mad time, a protractor, a scientific calculator, and obviously their exercise book. All of this equipment is going to help your child to succeed. Okay, So your child will have 5 lessons of maths every week plus form time. They will receive 1 online Hegarty's maths task a week, and this will be self-marked. So the pupils will receive a percentage for this homework. They will complete an assessment at the end of every half term to show their progress, and they will obviously have identified key areas to improve. They'll also complete an end of year assessment, which will be on the whole work for the entire year. Okay, so this is an example here of how Maths Hegarty looks. You should all have been given your password. If not, then we'll make sure that they go out. If there's any problems, please contact Mrs. Preston. What you'll see here is there's lots and lots of different lessons. Your teacher will give you one to focus on, and it was coded red, orange and green for how well they've done, and the date and how long it takes the child to complete it. You've also got a whole summary here of how much or how long they're taking on it. As a parent, it's really, really good and really interesting to sit with your child sometimes and make sure they're spending the time on it rather than just clicking any button. The more they practice, the more frequently they do it, the better they will get and the better their prospects for their future are.
Okay, so moving on to the English department, again pupils have been made aware of this information, but there's just some brief points here. So pupils will be given homework and that will be set every week. They'll have a booklet for this in year 7. We expect pupils to complete reading every night for a minimum of 20 minutes, so we are asking as a parent for your support with that, okay? And we're asking parents to sign pupils' journals just to acknowledge that they have done the reading, so then we can check it when they come into school and we're all kind of on the same page. Pupils should bring their reading books to their English lessons every Friday.
Just to support the reading that you're doing at home, within form time, each form has been given a different book to focus on, which their form tutor is going to read to them every single day for 15 to 20 minutes. This is to increase their knowledge of different words, and the teachers make links to kind of world events. So we're doing our bit here as well. We really need your support with improving literacy at home. Okay, so the science department, they set all their homework using something called Seneca Learn. The students are going to be given instructions on this about how to set it up, but they may need some support from home. They're also going to be given knowledge organisers which have the key content, the key ideas and everything that they're going to learn, and they will have a quiz every 2 weeks on this to see what they've understood, to see what knowledge they've remembered, and then we can address any gaps that there are. It's really helpful as a parent if you sit there with your child and go through the knowledge organisers with them and ask them questions, because the more they speak, the more they ask and answer questions, it goes into their memories more. Science is taught in 10 big ideas, and the year 7s will begin with organisms, and then they work through, they look at cells, they look at muscles and a variety of things. But everything they do in year 7 is the grounding for year 8, 9, 10 and 11. In class, pupils are told the different careers related to each big idea that they're studying. So when they're learning about side waves, they might discuss about sound technicians. It's also really good practice to go and reinforce everything on BBC Bite Size, because that breaks everything down into chunks for the students. So again, it's little is often. Work with your student a little bit, work with your child, sorry, a little bit every single day, focusing on key things.
Okay, so PE this year is very different to what it was last year due to the current circumstances with COVID. We are asking that pupils arrive to school in their PE kit, and they must also wear the blazer as well. So we'll just run through what the PE kit is. So as a standard, boys, they should have RCA PE shorts, shirt and football socks, and they should always be wearing trainers. They cannot wear school shoes, especially on the AstroTurf. Okay, that is for health and safety. Girls, it's the PE shirt, the shorts, sensible socks, so ideally football socks, and Astro trainers again. They are optional because it is going to get cold when the pupils are outside, so they do have the option of wearing tracksuit bottoms and a tracksuit top. Ideally, again, they will be the RCA logoed tracksuit bottoms and top. However, if they are dark navy and plain, they are more than acceptable. Just to pick up on the girls' side, tracksuit bottoms can be worn. However, we do have a zero tolerance to leggings being worn in year 7. Moving on, just more information from PE. So again, health and safety. There's no jewellery in PE, so the pupils may as well just leave that at home at all times. Hair has to be tied back. There's no school shoes, no chewing gum, and again, just to reiterate, no leggings at all. Adapted routines are that, again, like I've said, pupils will arrive to school in their PE kit with the blazer on. They'll arrive to their classroom, that is timetable on their timetable. The teacher will pick them up from that classroom, take them to the area where the PE lesson will be held, and then they'll return at the end of the lesson.
Okay, just some key dates for Year 7. We are going to be holding a parents' evening on 1st of October 2020. At the moment it looks like this is going to be virtual via Teams, so please just keep that date in mind and we will be giving you more information later on. The actual second parents' evening is Thursday the 6th of May, and hopefully at that time we will be able to see you all in person because it will be lovely to meet you all. Just a few other key dates. The Year 7s will be doing assessments this week on the 14th of September, and they will also be doing end of year assessments on the 21st of the 6th to the 2nd of the 7th. What we really need to be aware is that a little bit all the time, is really important. We need to constantly be quizzing our children, making sure they understand. Look at the books when they're at home, ask them questions, ask them to explain it, and if they don't understand, just either put a little post-it note into the book or drop this member of staff an email. But it's really important we continually quiz them.
And just before we finish, can I just mention after school clubs, so that's in regards to football, basketball, art club, chess club, any after school club. At the minute, government guidelines do advise that we don't hold after school clubs at this moment in time. As soon as that information changes, information will be sent out to both pupils and parents, so you will be made aware of that. Hopefully we have covered everything and answered all your questions. However, if you have any more questions, please feel free to email your child's form tutor. Their emails can all be found on the school website.
Okay. Thank you so much again for all your support. We're really looking forward to working with you for the next 5 years so that we can help your child fulfil their potential.
Good evening, my name is Mr Ogden. I'm Assistant Teacher in charge of Climate, Culture, Behaviour and Expectations. I'm going to take you through a bit of a PowerPoint presentation today. I know some of it might not be clear on the camera, but we'll put that on the website for your perusal, and obviously the behaviour policies on there. So first of all, we're just looking at our expectations. We expect every young person to arrive promptly for school. I know there's various bubble start times at the moment, starting from 8:30, but we do expect young people to be there and prompt on time every morning. To be fully equipped for lessons at all time, which means if they've got PE, they have the PE kit. If they've got the lessons, the equipment for the lessons, they must have pen, pencil, a green pen for underlining, ruler, your maths equipment, your projector, and your planners, which are a working document for every lesson. To wear full school uniform at all times, that includes school shoes, skirts to be at the correct length with the Royal and Cronton logo. If we are in PE kit in these changing times where young people are coming in PE kit, that they do have the Royal and Cronton shorts, the Royal and Cronton football socks, or they are plain blue equipment. To show respect for self and others, and that goes for all staff, visitors and students, we expect staff to speak to students with respect, students to speak with students with respect, hold doors, be polite, don't drop litter, and that's something that we really expect and really drive and encourage our young people to be like. To respond positively and politely to all instructions from members of staff. At times young people will be asked to do things that necessarily they don't agree with, but we expect to respond positively, and those instructions will always be for the good of the learning for the whole group and that individual. To work to best of ability at all times. We're in a brand new building. To respect property, to make sure that when we're travelling down corridors that we don't touch the walls. You know, we look after doors, we make sure that we pick up litter, we don't graffiti on desks, and to encourage that community sense of team. It's like their home away from home, to make sure that we respect the building and everybody in it. To uphold the expectations within the local and wider community. You know, we're very, very proud of our uniform, we're proud of our young people, so when they're travelling to and from school, that they're representing you as parent and carers, and in our uniform they're representing those honesty, that excellence and that modelling excellence out in the community. We do have a behaviour policy that runs alongside all these expectations to make sure that young people are employable, you know, and they do understand that wherever we go through life there will be rules and there will be consequences if you step outside of those, so I'll take you through those in a second. Just a quick example of the uniform. Skirts must be knee length with the Royal Crompton logo. Black socks, they must have a black school shoe, a leather school shoe with no bright logos or different colours on it. Hair must be a correct colour, natural colour and no shade patterns in it, and the PE kit is modelled that's on there as well. We operate something called Q, which is coach, uniform and equipment. They're monitored every day during lessons. We expect our young people to have the shirts tucked in, to have the blazers on and corridors. They get 3 opportunities to make sure that's right. They have a Q card in the planner. If one of those expectations aren't met, there is a staff signature on. 3 signatures will lead to a consequence, but likewise, if there's no signatures on that, the young people get to put those into a prize draw where they get vouchers for doing the right things and displaying that corporate image, which again is preparing them and readying them for that world of work. Basic expectations that we expect in and around the academy. So anywhere young people enter the building, we expect them to take the coats off and either put them in the bag or under their arms, so they're only wearing the school uniform in and around the academy. Appropriate school footwear, there's no trainers allowed at all within school. Skirt length, as we discussed before, is knee length. Our blazers have to be worn at all times. Once in classrooms, if the young people are hot and they want to take the blazers off, they ask the member of staff permission, they'll always be granted that. But when we're travelling in between lessons and at break times, blazers are to be worn. School tie has to be worn. They're separate colours for different year groups to give them their identity. Hair is a natural colour. We know what the school equipment is. We've provided that as a school. We expect parent carers, homes to support that, so ensure that learning can take place, and under no circumstances there are no false nails or nail varnish to be allowed in school. Just take you through the behaviour system. If young people make the right decisions and they put the learning first and they follow instructions, this will never ever apply to them. They will only ever be rewarded in school. But if we're very, very big on that teachers have to teach and learners have the right to learn, and nobody in this school has the right to stop another young person or a group of young people learning. And if that is the case, then we do operate a C1 to a C4 behaviour system. C1 is a warning with an instruction and an expectation of what the young person has done wrong, some take-up time for them to improve. Again, for a C2, that's in effect a final warning to allow that young person to focus and put the learning first. If they reach the next stage, so they're disrupting learning or there's a serious one-off incident, there is something called a C3 removal, which that young person will then be exited from lesson and will be educated in time out within their year bubble, at which point that will be investigated by the year team. Depending on the seriousness of that, they might go then back into their lesson and continue for the day, or they might be taken out and educated in a period of reflection. Parents will always be contacted, and most of the time there will be a phone call to have that discussion with parents about working together as a team to make sure that our young people are modelling what's done at home and they put the learning first in our lessons. C4s are a serious incident, which are a serious breach of the behaviour policy, and they can be dealt with either internal exclusion, a period of learning at another school, or in extreme circumstances, an exclusion from the school, a fixed term. Okay, detentions. If a young person is removed for disrupting learning or other areas of a C3, then they will operate a detention after school that day. The detention will be for a period of an hour. If a young person occurs more than one C3 in a day, that can equate to an SLT detention, which is an hour and a half. Detention cut-off point for the same-day detentions is 2 o'clock. You'll receive a text message that will be sent home to notify that your young person will be in detention that night. There's strict rules in that. They will be in their certain bubble detentions across their bubble within school. They have to be sat up in silence, and if they've got homework, they can do their homework, otherwise we will provide work for them to complete. Can you skip that, please? Okay, just moving on to your mobile phones, just to make it sure to everyone. We know that every young person in this academy will have a mobile phone, and we understand as parent or carers that it's essential for you young people to have mobile phones travelling to and from the academy for safety, to get in touch with them. But as soon as they enter our doors, we expect that phone to be turned off, switched off, zipped in a blazer pocket or placed in the bag. As we touched on before, the reason for that is that we expect when we're in school for them to develop the manners, to develop the social. We don't want them texting on phones, but we also want them no distractions from the learning. We expect every young person to maximise that learning time and put the learning first. If a young person does get the phone out, it will be confiscated, it's held in the school safe, and we will contact you for a convenient time for you to come and collect that. Punctuality. Again, the most important part of lessons at times are that introduction and that beginning, which allows people to understand their outcomes and objectives and the success criteria about where they're going in that lesson. Every young person to get anywhere within this building within 3 minutes, but we do have a cut-off time of 5 minutes. If you're late for school by 5 minutes, or if you're late for a lesson by 5 minutes because they've not been proactive enough on the corridors of getting to where they should be, that we do allocate a late mark, which will also allocate a late detention, which is an hour after school that day. Rewards. We operate quite a fast reward system from R1 all the way to R5. Every student has the opportunity to meet the focus of the week, whether that be listen to the person who's talking or meeting that criteria. They get an R1 every lesson. Students are able to get an R2, which is going above and beyond, an excellent piece of homework, being a great community citizen. And then there's also students at the start of the week which are voted through by members of staff. So every member of staff will put through somebody who's gone above and beyond or made the correct amount of effort or gone out of their way to show improvement on work or community or manners or honesty, excellence, aspiration, and they will get a certificate every week. Moving forward, when we will be allowed, which will hopefully be sooner rather than later, we also offer R5s and rewards trips to various places. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the way that we're doing Key Stage 3 assessment is actually going to change this year. The reasons for that are that our purpose for assessment is slightly different. We'd like to gain an understanding of how well the students have accessed and learned the curriculums that we've been designing over the past 18 months. We want to ensure that subsequent planning capitalises on what learners know, and we are aware that there might be some gaps in knowledge, so part of our assessment at Key Stage 3 is to unpick any gaps from the lockdown. And we want to inform students of their own learning journeys with language that is accessible and easily shared between ourselves, you as parents and the students. And that includes information that allows them to self-regulate and to actively seek support on their own. In order to do this, we've created the ladder of success. So the information that you receive from school will have a keyword. So our keywords for each rung on the ladder are establishing, developing, securing, mastering and excelling. So we'll start with establishing, which means the student shows some simple signs of accessing our curriculum. And that goes up to the top with excelling. The student is able to show a thorough and detailed understanding of the curriculum. So one of the things that we've done differently this year is instead of taking into account one exam at the end of half term, is to take in all of the assessment that we do at Key Stage 3. And we know that your students work hard in classes and our teachers work hard to constantly assess where there are any gaps. And we do that through pre-assessment, which is low stakes pre-planned tests, so quizzes, multiple choice questions and question and answer sessions. We do it through regular formative assessment, so lots of low stakes testing that's spaced out over time. So there's no stress and anxiety, we encourage making mistakes and we learn to unpick those mistakes together. We do this through disciplinary tasks, so for example in PE this might be a practical task that is assessed as a group. And then all of this assessment comes together to give us a cumulative summative exam score, which I'll go through in a second. And this means that we take the structural knowledge that your students learn all through that year and we turn it into a percentage. So for each rung of the ladder you'll see that there is an attached percentage. So if your cumulative exam score for the year in that subject comes in at 39% or below, your student will be on the establishing rung. And what we hope to see is that students gradually progress through each rung as the year goes on. This can mean that in year 7, a student might be at securing by the time that they leave year 7, and they could go down to developing the year after. That's absolutely fine. What we use in this ladder is to judge within 1 year how successful the student has been at learning that curriculum for that subject. What I would just add is for each of these assessments, it's a disciplinary knowledge. So that means that it's subject-specific knowledge. Your child might be exceptional in English but struggling maths, and what we want to make sure is that we're able to identify those gaps so we, with you as partners, can address them as soon as possible. If you do have any questions about the reports that you receive or any of the assessment that we do at Brighton and Crompton, please feel free to get in touch through your year leads, and we'll address any issues you've got through MyEd as well. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Miss Jacob, and I'm going to talk to you about how as an academy we want to improve communications with you, the parents. We know that sometimes emails may get stuck in the junk boxes, maybe sometimes texts don't get through. So what we really need is your help and support in downloading the MyEd app. It's really, really simple and easy to do, but what it means is that you will be constantly updated on how your child is doing, what their attendance is and what their behaviour is. So the positives to this app are it allows you information to keep up to date with what's going on. We will send all messages to you via MyEd. It lets you look at key information for your students, for your children, and what they are doing and how they are behaving. It also means that you will get free messages to school, but also from school, but also you can send us messages and they will be picked up. So what we do, and this is what it will look like, it will give you an attendance. So for example, this student here has come to 95%, and that's uploaded and updated every single day. It will tell you about all the forms that need to be filled in and all the parental student questionnaires that we need your support on, but also how your child is doing, because every lesson they get given a grade and that will be updated so you can see again how well they're doing and have those conversations with them. So to get this MyEd app, it's really simple. You go to your app store, you download the MyEd app, you search for Brighton and Crompton, you enter your contact details, and it's as simple as that. So please help us to improve our communications. Please download the MyEd the MyEd app, and let's make sure that our communication lines are really good, up and running, and are open at all times.
Okay, so just to say, finally, thank you for spending the time this evening to go through each of the presentations. I hope you found all the information useful, and if you have any questions whatsoever, please do not hesitate to keep in touch. This is your school, it's the school, and that we promise to deliver a quality of education and enriching experiences for your son and daughter, and therefore your voice does count. So please stay in touch, and as I said earlier in the presentation, contact heads of year or the senior link for each year group, and we will only be too happy to help. Thank you.